X Factors, we are back. We're here with a little short video, but we're gonna have some fun today. I'm joined by my dog, Caleb. Caleb, what's up, my dog?
Just living life. How's it going?
Yeah, man, dude, doing great. Don't know which video is coming out first, but if the draft video came out first, it was a success. We love recording that. It's a little bit short and series where we kind of just break some stuff down, just short, sweet, to the point. And today we're breaking down probably one of the biggest things in sports news right now, which is Kevin Durant. Trade dress destination. Where is he going to go? Is he going to stay in Brooklyn? Is he going to go? Should I stay or should I go? And Caleb's got a couple teams that we're going to run through and kind of just break it down one by one. So Caleb, take it away, buddy.
Before I begin, just let me say this. If I was any NBA team, I would never trade for Kevin Durant. I think it's quite clear he is a cancer to any successful environment that you were trying to create, as well as Kyrie, but Kyrie's a whole nother subject. So before I begin, let me just preface with that. I would not, under any circumstances, trade for Kevin Durant, especially with what it's going to take due to his contract. It's just not worth it in my eyes. But that being said, I've got 7 teams. We'll run through them. My first team I've got is the Philadelphia 76ers. As we know, Joel Embiid told the 76ers, under whatever it takes, get Kevin Durant here. So the guys that I have is Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul Reed for Kevin Durant and Day'Ron Sharpe to make contracts work out. I think the Nets, you're getting Tyrese Maxey, who's a solid point guard, shows potential. You're also getting Tobias Harris, who might be he's overrated for his contract. It's a pretty big contract, but he can produce, I think, enough to put you in like a low seed in the East. Matisse Thybulle, who people go back and forth on because he's so inconsistent. And then Paul Reed, who is a power forward who has shown promise. But yeah, I mean, if you're the 76ers and Joel Embiid wants them that bad, if they're able to, you're obviously going to have to throw in picks with this. But I don't know, man. Kevin Durant with James Harden again and with Joel Embiid, would it work out? I don't know, because you're losing your point guard in Tyrese Maxey. You're losing another scoring wing in Tobias Harris, but picking up Kevin Durant. So I don't know, man. You're going to see a lot with this. Is very indecisive just because of my feelings about Kevin Durant. What do you think about that one?
I don't hate it because if you're the 76ers, you got to ask yourself, with the roster I currently have, staying put, can I win a championship? I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be nice if James Harden was never in Brooklyn and they could trade James Harden and keep Tyrese Maxey, because I think Tyrese Maxey long-term is going to be a better option than James Harden, because Tyrese Maxey flashed last year. But, I mean, that's given up a lot. Tobias is great. I really like Thybulle. It's just I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know have they said they're willing to trade Maxey?
I haven't heard anything.
I don't know. At that point, you just got to ask yourself the question, are we giving up too much? Are we, because I think that's what a lot of the problem was in Brooklyn too. They just did not have any depth. I mean, it really showed too. So it's just how much you value a 33-year-old Kevin Durant at this point.
16th NBA season, coming off a lot of injuries.
Yeah, that Achilles a couple years ago. So I don't know, man. I personally, I wouldn't take it. If I'm 76ers, I think I'm in a pretty decent spot. I just have to get over the hump. And I think with the roster they have, maybe add a couple more depth pieces, I think they could. So I don't think this trade is necessary for them.
Next trade here. I should have said this from the beginning. The Nets said they are interested. The only way they would trade is if they get 2 All-Stars back. It's not going to happen. It's not
asking way too much. That's not how trades work.
Yeah. But another team that I threw in here just to have some fun is the Nuggets. I think if you're the Nets, you look at, okay, if we're going to lose one of the best players in the league in Kevin Durant, what do we need to take back? Let's take some young stars, some guys with potential. So with that being said, the Nuggets would offer up Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Zeke Naji, and Bones Highland for Kevin Durant and Cam Thomas. I think Michael Porter Jr. dealing with all these injuries and everything, it's tough, but you're taking a swing in the dark with him, hoping he works out. Aaron Gordon, a solid starter in this league. Zeke Naji has shown a little bit of promise, and then Bones Highland, as we saw, got hot throughout the season. And I think it's definitely interesting because if the Nuggets were to get a guy like Kevin Durant, he could play. I think him and Jokic could play really, really well together because both of them don't need the ball. Jokic could set up Kevin Durant so much easier than probably Kevin Durant's ever been set up in a while. It's one of those things where Kevin Durant, you take him to that team and the Nuggets automatically they go up. No matter, even if they're losing 4 players and they get Kevin Durant back, like that's a positive in my eyes, just because of how the skill he has and the impact he could have with Jamal Murray and Jokic.
That trade happens. I think Denver's automatically the best team in the West.
They're definitely up there.
That is a trade I haven't even thought about, and that is a beautiful trade. I mean, you give up MPJ, sure, injury-prone kid. Zeke is what he is. Aaron Gordon is probably past his prime. Like, that's not a terrible. But you lose Bones. I mean, that's probably your blue chip guy you lose. But again, we haven't seen him we only seen him in limited minutes, and yeah, he's really flashy. But I wouldn't mind that trade at all because I think he would play so well off Jokic.
Yeah.
And with Murray coming back, another guy who can take some pressure off too. I mean, I think that would be gorgeous for Denver. I hope that's in the talks. I think you need to send that to the Nuggets GM. I just don't know if Brooklyn feels like
the Nets have to humble themselves.
I don't think they'd get enough back in their eyes. And I think Aaron Gordon's on a really hefty contract. So is MPJ. So they're going to be taking a lot of money in.
Next team here I have is, and the reason I have this is because I think they've shown that they're willing to trade for a big name like they did a few years ago for Kawhi Leonard, and that's the Raptors. Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn for Kevin Durant, David Duke Jr., and Cam Thomas. I've never been high on Siakam. I think he's very, very, very inconsistent. OG Anunoby shows flashes, but he can never really stay healthy. I'm a big fan of Precious Achiuwa. I think he's kind of like that Bam kind of role. And then Malachi Flynn, I don't feel one way or another about. But I think if the Raptors were able to make a way to get Kevin Durant, they definitely would. They've shown it before, getting Kawhi Leonard and winning the championship. And I think Masai Ujiri definitely would do whatever it takes to get a guy like that in there. And that way you're keeping Scotty Barnes, who very, very skilled rookie, very, very skilled, and Fred VanVleet. And just throwing him in, Kevin Durant in there. I think those are 3 guys that could play together really, really well. And on the net side, you're taking Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa. Those are guys that can keep you relevant in the East. Joe Tsai, I saw something where he said he would rather have a team that's competing for the 8th or 9th spot in the East that he's proud to have than be at the top of the East with a bunch of guys that don't want to be there. Right. So I think if you're going to get those 4 guys I named from the Raptors are going to play hard for you, and they've proven that they can be consistent enough to get you in the playoff contention in the East. So I think it's a win-win for both teams. Is it likely to happen though? I'm not quite sure, but nonetheless, I think it would be interesting.
Yeah, I love it because it kind of reminds me of what they did with DeMar DeRozan. Yeah. Like you have your star, like Pascal Siakam, I guess is their star, all-star guy, caliber guy. And it's like, okay, can we win a championship with just him? Probably not. So let's move on, but let's keep our point guard, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet. It's kind of so similar because they're both the same size guard, but I wouldn't mind that at all because like what happened last time Toronto made a big splash trade like that. Ended up working out pretty well. Yeah. So yeah, I love that one. That's probably right next to Denver, probably my 2 favorite out of the 3.
Yeah. And then another team that I've actually, every NBA analyst that I've heard talk about Kevin Durant potentially, going somewhere, the Pelicans have been a sneaky team that a lot of people want to see them go to. But I don't know how you make it work unless you're throwing in Brandon Ingram, Devontae Graham, Jackson Hayes, and Kira Lewis Jr. I just don't think Kevin Durant's worth losing Brandon Ingram right now. Just because, and I obviously Kevin Durant's way better than Brandon Ingram will ever be. But I think it's a matter of you don't know what you have with Zion because he's never healthy. He's inconsistent staying on the floor, inconsistent in his weight. So when you have a proven all-star in Brandon Ingram alongside CJ McCollum and alongside Dyson Daniels that they just drafted and Jonas Valanciunas, I think you keep that. You don't blow it up. You keep it, try to bring Zion in this year and see how that core looks together in hopes that they make a big splash. And then next year they're getting even better. So I don't want to see Kevin Durant go to the Pelicans. Other people would love to see him try to end up there. but I just don't think Brandon Ingram is worth losing right now in the state that the Pelicans are in.
No, I agree. I think the Pelicans need to stick at what they're at. I think they're going to be the Grizzlies of next year. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like how the Grizzlies performed this year really overperformed when they sneak in that 2 seed. I realistically, I think Pelicans probably, if they stay healthy, that 3 through 6 range, because they have the mix of youth and they have the leadership of CJ McCollum. I mean, they're in a prime position if they can stay healthy to really make some noise in the West. And I just don't think you break that up and lose key pieces just for one guy, that 34-year-old Kevin Durant, who is still one of the top scorers, if not the top scorer in the league. But again, you have to think long term, and I think that's what the Pelicans are really good at and what they've done. So I wouldn't blow it up.
Speaking of the Grizzlies are next on my list. Jaren Jackson Jr., Zaire Williams, and Brandon Clark for Kevin Durant. Now, this is iffy because the news just came out about Jaren Jackson Jr. He's going to be out for a little bit.
Yep.
And there's not really a big name guard here for the Grizzlies to give up for the Nets to take.
Yep.
So this is one that it was kind of hard, but I've heard a lot of people have some buzz for him going to the Grizzlies. So I had to throw him in there, but I just wasn't sure how you make it work in a productive way for both teams.
I don't think you really do. It'd be fun to watch Ja and KD go to work, but yeah, it would just be so unlikely. And I really like Triple J. It's just, can he stay healthy? Is he going to come back and be okay? I really like Brandon Clark, and Zaire Williams even showed some promise last year. So again, I think you keep the youth, and I think you keep it moving. If you're Memphis, you just had a historic season, you know. So I think they're in another position where let's just not blow it up. Let's see what we can do.
You're moving in the right path. Why bring in somebody that's gonna have a hissy fit if he doesn't have his way?
Yeah, obviously it doesn't work in most places he goes. So it's just Memphis, stick at what you're good at, stick with who you got, and I think you'll be just fine.
The number one team apparently on Kevin Durant's list is the Phoenix Suns.
Ugh.
And I actually, if the Nets were to get offered this, I'm taking it in a second. And it's DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and Cam Johnson for Kevin Durant and Cam Thomas. And I say that I take it in second for this reason. DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and Ben Simmons is one heck of a defensive lineup. Very, very, very tough.
Yes.
You know, obviously you don't know what to expect out of Ben Simmons this year. DeAndre Ayton, like, he has all the potential in the world, but it's like a question of how much he really loves basketball. But Mikal Bridges is very consistent. You know what you're going to get out of him. Obviously, you'll be asking a bigger role out of him if you're taking him in. But I don't see why you don't do it. I don't see you have a bunch of young guys that have all the potential in the world, not to mention Cam Johnson coming off the bench, being a spark plug there. But I mean, if I'm the Nets, I would try to get this going in a second. The Suns do not want Ayton. I think they would be unwilling to give up Bridges, but I think you have to really sell it. You know, throw in a young guy like Cam Thomas, maybe a couple picks. But I think this is a win for the Nets if this trade happened.
I think the Nets came out and said they want Devin Booker, which is
that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Get that out of your head. I think it'd be an incredible fit. I think him and Booker would be so much fun to watch. Ayton, I'd be willing to give up. Mikal Bridges, I'd want to keep so bad. But, I mean, you got to ask yourself, is we going to get over the hump with what we have? And
they're not. That's like Chris Paul is going to go down. It's slowly starting to go downhill.
So
if you're just bringing the same guys back year after year, you're only going to get so far.
So I'd try something weird. I think they're a team that if they can keep they're going to keep Devin Booker, but if I'm the Nets, I agree. Take that trade. But yeah, if I'm the Suns, I'd hang Ayton out there right on the line and see what I can get.
Yeah. And then finally, the last team I have here is the Washington Wizards. KD is from Washington.
Yep.
People want to see him go home. So what I have, and this is probably, it's so hard because I don't see the Wizards wanting to throw in Kristaps just because they just got him. He's an all-star fringe player when he's healthy. And I just don't see why the Nets would be interested in taking him back either. It's like, okay, whatever. So this is probably the least interesting out of all of them, but it's Will Barton, Kyle Kuzma, Rui Hachimura, and Denny Advia on top of several picks to try to get that for Kevin Durant. I can't really even sell myself on this one. Kyle Kuzma, he's a good player. He's not great, never will be. Rui Hachimura really hasn't stepped into anything yet. He's not been healthy. Advia, I'm not
cool.
Yeah. And then Will Barton's like a solid role player.
Yeah.
So it's like in order to get Kevin Durant to Washington, it's like Bradley Beal is going to have to be in that. Kristaps Porzingis is also going to have to be in that. And that's their two main guys. And you're not going to be able to get Kevin Durant to Washington. I saw a little bit of buzz on Twitter. It's probably somebody who has no idea what they're talking about on Twitter saying get him to the Wizards, but I just don't see it happening.
No, but at some point the Nets are going to be like, okay, if we got to get something, because if not, he's just going to hold out. So we might as well get something. But yeah, I don't think Washington's probably going to be a likely destination.
There would be like 6 to 10 other teams that would have a better offer before you ever even consider Washington.
Washington just doesn't have the capital to really move, because Rui really hasn't turned into much. Advia's young, didn't really shine much last year. So I mean, you don't have really much to hang out there to entice them. So I think it'd be a fun destination for him, because him and Bradley Beal would light it up, but they don't have enough, I think, even around those two. I think even at that point, if we're even looking that far in advance, to really make a push for a top seed in the East.
Yeah. And then there's been a couple teams that have also been in the mix. The Lakers, anybody that's ever wanting out, there's always somebody saying the Lakers are going to get them. I don't see how. I don't even want to deal with the Lakers. I don't want to even look at their roster. None of that.
We'll let Troy deal with that.
If any of you want to make the Lakers push, please let us know what it is. But then also the one that I found very interesting was the Miami Heat. That was another team that he wanted to apparently go play for. The thing is you are not going to get him there without giving up Jimmy Butler, Bam, or Kyle Lowry.
And they will not do that.
And he said he wants to go play on that team with those three guys. Another interesting thing is Bam is on his rookie extension, and so is Ben Simmons. And there's some kind of specific rule in the NBA where the Nets, for whatever reason, can't have 2 rookie max extension guys. So in order to get Bam in a trade, they would also have to trade Ben Simmons. So I think Kevin Durant to the Heat is not going to happen whatsoever. So
it'd be cool, but this is not going to happen. I wonder how him and Jimmy would get along though. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jimmy's you got to be certain with him, but
you got to be cut from a certain cloth to play.
And I think they still have a championship roster. I do. I think PJ Tucker is going to be hard to replace, but
yeah. So I think from a Kevin Durant perspective, I think the most interesting team out of all the teams I've named here is him going to the Nuggets.
I do too. I love that trade. I haven't even thought about that. I'm glad you brought that up. That's an incredible trade.
And then I think for what the Nets would be getting back is the Suns trade I mentioned. I just think
that's the most value.
Getting 3 young guys that are 2 of them that are really solid defenders on top of Ben Simmons. I think that would be a lot of fun. But nonetheless, I'll go on record. Like I said, don't trade Kevin Durant. Quit giving him what he wants, because all he's going to do is find his way out of.
Let him sit and pout. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, trade him to the Magic. That'll really show him. Trade him to the Magic.
Yeah, Paulo Banchero is like, come get me, and I was like, Paulo, you would be a part of that trade, buddy. I got news for you.
Seriously, yeah. But yeah, it's not a shock. Kevin Durant's wanting out, and Kyrie Irving, and maybe we'll come out with a Kyrie video too.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, when the trade does break, we'll be on top of it.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know. And if you all have any trade thoughts down below, let us know who you all would give up, who you wouldn't give up, all that good stuff. Where do you want to see KD go? Is he still a guy you want to get on your team? I don't know.
Nope.
But yeah, man, anything else on your side?
No, I'm good. I'll save my Kevin Durant bashing for another day.
Yeah, we'll bash KD in his own bashing video. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning into the X Factor Sports Talk. This has been a KD trade special with my man Caleb. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't be a star. Don't be a superstar. Change the game. Be an X Factor. We'll see you guys next time. God bless. And we out here.